LaDonna Marie, and I am coming to you all tonight because I wanted to bring back what's in the books. And so I am live on Facebook on LaDonna Marie Books page and also live on Instagram. And so, I mean, not this is not Instagram, this is YouTube. And so I just wanted to bring back the platform because last year, when the pandemic started, I decided that I wanted to do a what's in the books because I wanted you all to know what's inside of the books. I'm always talking about my books. I'm always talking about what God has done for me. And so I wanted to share with you all here. This is episode 2. I probably will link episode 1 when I first started a year ago, and my hair was cut low, and now it's grown back. But to all of you all who will join, I'll start doing this, saying weekly. I have about 12 books. So guess what? You'll have at least 12 episodes. So thank you all for coming. Once again, I am international multi-award winning author LaDonna Marie. I write books that help others to overcome obstacles. I am a survivor of attempted suicide at the age of 14. And since that day, the Lord has helped me. He said that as He healed me, the words that I write will help to heal others. And so I wanted to share with you all some of the beginnings of when I started and the first book that I've ever started, because I don't actually ever, talk about the first book. But the first book that I wrote was called Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul. And so I'm going to be looking back and forth, but it's called Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul. And I just want to tell you that when I was about 14 years old, and like I said, when I was going through those situations in my life, and I felt like I didn't want to live, I felt like I did not want to be on this earth. The Lord said that He was going to heal me. And I want to tell everyone out there, those who are going through things right now, that transformation and the start of that didn't just start in that moment. I've been healing and growing ever since then. But He said that the words that I write would help others. And so I decided as a 14-year-old sitting in my room with my pen and pad in my hand, because I'm a pen and pad type of girl. That's who I was back then. That's pretty much who I am now. Anywhere and everywhere I go, I always have a pad because I love to write and to encourage. But the 14-year-old me did not know that I would be, that the poems will go all over the world to impact other lives. That was what I decided to say to God. I had faith that once He said that the words that I write was going to help Him heal others, I just believed in myself. And so I started writing poems around, I think, like 1998, 1999. So I started to write poems. And as I began to write the poems, and as I began to just think about the things that I was going through, okay, keep in mind, I was a 14-year-old. So if I was angry, if I was upset, if I had, things that were going on, if I wanted to date, or, just my emotions and things were going on, those are some of the things that I wrote on. But even then, I had the pen of a ready writer before I even knew what that was. I had the pen of a ready writer. I would write often whatever the Lord would have me to write, because in my mind, I was agreeing to help other people heal as He healed me. And so I wanted to share with you all, even to those who are out there who are aspiring authors and who are aspiring writers, um, the whole journey behind Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul. I'm a clouds person, so I always like walking outside and looking at the clouds. But even the journey with this book is the book wasn't published until September of 2010. That was about 12 years, a 12-year span of me continuing to trust the Lord, continuing to write, continuing to believe in what He had said to me as a 14-year-old, continuing to know that these poems, that whenever they got out, that they were going to help somebody, that they were going to encourage somebody, that they were going to let someone know that you are not by yourself, you are not alone. And so the journey of Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul was that of one of me first knowing that I had faith, first knowing that I could trust what God had said to me as a teenager. And so I wanted to just share with you, because there are many people out there who always, when they see me at different places, they always say, LaDonna, I want to write a book. And I always tell them, just get started. Just get started. Get your pen, get your pad, your iPad, in your notes, your voice notes. Get started with the ideas, because if you're anything like me, once the Lord downloaded it to me, I had to write it down. I had to write it down. I had to put it in my folder, because I wasn't sure if I was going to remember exactly what he was trying to say or what he was trying to download to me. But I want to say is I stayed focused. And so the book was published September the 10th, September 2010. It was 1 month before my second son was born. He was born in October. So I had my first book baby. And I had a 2-year-old at the time. And then I had my newly born babe. And so, but at that time I was a writer. And I want to say the process didn't take me long to become a published author, is because I had all of my information from 1998 all the way up into 2010. I even went through Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. I went through Hurricane Katrina, and I'm gonna tell you all, because I just had the poems, and I had them in my closet. And when Hurricane Katrina came and all of the water and things came into my apartment, I, left. I evacuated. We evacuated. I left and I went home. But then when I came back and I looked in my closet, and I saw that the poems were still there. That even though I had about 3 inches of water in my apartment, the poems were still there. And so some of them had water damage, but for the most part, I could read all of them. I could read what was on the paper. I could read what God had given me. And in that moment of my life, I decided that I was going to do something with those poems, that those people that were out there that were waiting on them, that God saved those poems just for me to be able to get them to the person that was waiting on them. And so I tell everybody that process only ended up being about a 3 to 6 months process, because I had already been writing. And so if you're out there and you want to start your book, please just start writing. So I want to read you a couple poems, because this is really called What's in the Book, but I want to give you backstory. I want to give you backstory on what happened, with the book, and when I was in the process of writing the book, and my whole mindset and thought process with the book, because these poems, they were really, really personal. Because even when I was in high school, when God would ask me to share them with other people, I would share them with people. And the moment that they would get them, they would say, this sounds like something I'm going through. This sounds like something that I have in my life, something that's going on in my life. And so I shared it with those that needed it. And it seems like the Lord he was guiding me to those who needed what I have. And that's mostly a prayer that from that day, and even now, I would always pray, God, send those who need what you've given me to give. And so, without further ado, I'm going to leave the link, in here, but I want to read you a couple poems out of this book, because this was even the time I wrote about our first Black president. And so I'll read you about that. And I wrote about the inauguration of Barack. And so I was time stamping, what went in this book, but 50 of the poems from that era of 1998 on up, and then from all the way up into 2010. So I did 50 from when I was a teenager, and then 50 from when I got older. And then this book was birthed, and it was born. And so I hope that you all enjoy. I look forward to your comments. This was me in the very beginning. I didn't know what to do, but I just was obedient to the Lord, because he said that I would write to help heal people. And so I wanted to do just that. I wanted to write to heal and to help to heal others. So I'm going to read you all some of these poems from the very first beginning. And I thank everybody who's coming on to watch, and those who will come back on later. Feel free to leave your comments But I'm reading from Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul. This episode is episode 2 of What's in the Books. And so I'm going to read you Barack's inauguration, because this is something that was going on back in 2010 when I was getting ready to publish the book. And it says, how do I commemorate a historical moment such as this? The first African American president. Oh, what a prestigious honor. What a mere privilege to be present in existence at a time as important as this. Tears filled my eyes. My heart raced a bit. Overwhelmed, so emotional, yet exhilarant. As many of us are here and able to experience it, many generations passed on to glory, not able to witness it. Change is what he has spoken. Most importantly, is what we represent. This moment Martin Luther spoke of as he had seen the promised land. So many ancestors dreamed and envisioned to see this day, now which we stand. In this moment, I feel joy, so elated to the fact of how far we have emerged in history. Hence, sacredly looking back, unity, a sense of togetherness, accompanied by power to believe, humility and empowerment, therefore capable to achieve. A day of reflection as we rejoice, as there is much change to come. A harmonious, heartfelt memory sketched into my brain as the great task before us still remains. Yes, we can. Now we did. This is the day that Barack's legacy begins. And I was so excited back then in 2010 as I sat there and watched, but I made sure that I had commemorated that and put it inside of this book. And I want to tell you that with Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul, I was a new poet, and I was unsure of how everything should go. And some of my books, in past, moving forward, were so better laid out. But this was the beginning, and like I said, I was writing about things that God had asked me to just write about. And these are some of my thoughts. And so I'm going to read another poem called My Thoughts. I'm going to read a poem that's called My Thoughts. And it says, now this is a one about a relationship. It says, my mind has been wandering all day, ever since you went away, wanting and definitely missing your touch. Now that you're gone, I miss you so much. What I wouldn't give to have you here beside me, telling me stories about your past, then how you want our friendship to last, reminding me that I'm special to you. You say you now feel these feelings that you didn't used to. Because honestly, what I wouldn't give to look into your eyes, because honestly and truly, they don't tell lies. I see the way you sincerely feel, and your troubled heart I would like to heal. To help you find your place in life by being a friend and giving advice. But more to you, I would like to be, if you would ever consider having me. Two of a kind, but sharing one soul, to be there for each other, to help to shape and mold. With you, I feel is where I want to be. Right now in my life, it's the only place for me. Oh, that was so sweet. So those are my thoughts. And so I'm just loving this, reminiscing, going back to the first book that I've ever written, which is called, again, Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul. This whole episode is called What's in the Book. And I'm going to read you all one more because it's going to be a short snippet every week. But I just wanted to give you what's in the book, because I'm always talking about the empowerment, the motivation, and even some of the feelings that I felt as we began to go through. I went through these situations because I had to grow as an author. This was my very first book, and I had to grow as an author. But there were many things that the Lord always had me to write about. I always wrote about spirituality, which I'm about to read a poem now. I always wrote about relationships. I wrote about healing and encouragement. So those are some of the themes throughout all of my books. Now, to date, I have 12 books of my own that I've self-published. and I have about 13 plus that I've co-authored. And so the theme of my books are always to uplift, but it's always to meet that person where they were. Because as I said earlier, I was a survivor of suicide. So that meant I had a lot of feelings on the inside that I did not tell, or I did not, fully express to others. But when God said that he was going to heal me and help me to write them out, so that people who felt like I felt, people who were in that same situation, they could feel that someone knew how they felt. And because I overcame, they could overcome too. And so I want to read this poem in closing, called Acknowledge Him. And it says, when I did wrong, when I hung with the wrong crowd, who didn't make the best choices, he never judged me. He encouraged me to come unto him. When I was very opinionated, when I only listened to myself, he taught me to honor. He taught me to listen to his voice. He taught me understanding. When I sinned and I thought that no one could see me, when I tried to speed up outcomes, he taught me that he has an all-seeing eye. He taught me about the essence of faith. When I became depressed and became full of doubt, he taught me the calmness of hope. He speaks a virtue called belief. When I looked around and everyone had left me, and when I felt so alone, he said, you saw one footstep is because I carried you. When my back was against the wall and I couldn't lift my head, he taught me worry is not of him, to rejoice and have joy. When I needed evidence from him, he taught me patience. God has so many lessons that we can learn from. Acknowledge him and seek him. I am international multi-award winning author LaDonna Marie. This is Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul, the first book I have ever written. I hope that you all enjoyed this reading. Make sure that you leave your comments. You can also go over to YouTube to the LaDonna Marie Books page. It will also be on there. I'll see you back on Wednesday. I'm going to be doing What's in the Book Wednesdays. I'm going to be going through all of my books. Peace and blessings to all of you who joined and those who will come back later. I also will leave the link to Expressions of the Mind, Body, and Soul here on Facebook, my Facebook business page, and also on YouTube. Have a good night, everybody. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings over here to you at YouTube. This is my first time ever posting over here. So leave your comments. See you soon. Peace and blessings.